The film opens with Iris in a supermarket, reflecting on life's lack of meaning and purpose, describing it as a thick black cloud that leaves everyone stumbling aimlessly. Her perspective shifts when she locks eyes with a man, and in that moment, she feels a sudden sense of meaning and purpose. As the man attempts to start a conversation, an amusing mishap occurs with oranges spilling, leading to shared laughter. Iris reveals that such moments of clarity are rare, and for her, it happened only twice. The story then transitions to Iris and Josh traveling together, sharing a romantic exchange. Their journey takes an unexpected turn when they find themselves on an unfamiliar path, which Josh speculates might be a driveway rather than a road. Eventually, they arrive at their destination, a lake house. As they approach, Iris hesitates, expressing concern that Josh's friends will dislike her. Josh reassures her, though Iris insists that Kat, in particular, harbors animosity. Josh advises her to smile and act happy despite any tension. Upon entering, Kat warmly greets Josh but offers a cooler reception to Iris. She introduces them to Patrick, and shortly after, Eli arrives, greeting both Iris and Josh with genuine warmth. The story continues as Kat introduces Iris and Josh to Sergey, who greets them warmly. They admire Sergey's secluded and peaceful lake house, noting its distance from the main road. While unpacking, Iris reveals a mysterious item in her suitcase, hinting at something significant. Later, she takes a bath and, staring at her reflection, quietly reminds herself to stay composed and cheerful. The scene transitions to Patrick recounting how he and Eli met. He describes a party where he was dressed as Dracula and first saw Eli in a dinosaur costume, feeling an immediate and profound connection. Iris listens intently, relating to the idea of finding someone who fills a void she didn't even realize existed. As the evening unfolds, Iris and Kat have a conversation about Sergey. Iris comments on his apparent kindness, but Kat responds with a mix of admiration and resignation, describing herself as little more than an accessory in his life. The group later enjoys a lively night of dancing. However, Iris becomes visibly unsettled when she notices Kat whispering something to Josh. In response, she pulls Josh away to dance with her, her unease subtly surfacing. The following morning, Iris asks Josh if he's ready to head to the lake, but he declines, citing a hangover and the need to rest. Despite reminding him that he had wanted a relaxing morning by the water, Josh insists she go ahead without him. Reluctantly, Iris leaves after Josh reassures her to enjoy the day. Meanwhile, it's revealed that the mysterious item in Iris's suitcase is a USB drive, which Josh connects to his phone. Iris arrives at the lake and, after pulling a knife from her pocket, is approached by Sergey, who attempts to engage her in conversation. Feeling uneasy, Iris initially tries to leave, but Sergey persuades her to stay. He then asks her to help apply sunscreen to his back. As she does, Sergey begins making unwanted advances, leaning into her and making her visibly uncomfortable. The scene shifts to the group casually chatting indoors when Iris suddenly bursts in, holding a bloodied knife and drenched in blood. She frantically explains that Sergey forced himself on her, and that she only wanted him to stop. Reacting quickly, Kat rushes outside to check on Sergey, leaving the others in shock. Meanwhile, Josh questions Iris about what happened. She recounts the events, explaining that Sergey had assaulted her, and she acted in self-defense, ultimately injuring him. Emotionally distraught, she admits that her only thought was the fear of never seeing Josh again. In response, Josh instructs her to go to sleep, causing her eyes to turn white as the screen fades to black. The scene transitions to Patrick securing Iris's legs to a chair. Eli asks Josh about their next steps, and Josh suggests calling the police to explain the situation honestly. He requests a moment alone with Iris to say goodbye before making the call. Once alone, Josh wakes Iris, who regains consciousness in a state of confusion and panic. He calmly reminds her of what she did, and she insists it was self-defense, pleading for his belief. Josh reassures her, revealing that she couldn't lie to him even if she wanted to. It's part of her programming. Shocked, Iris learns from Josh that she is not human, but a companion robot. She struggles to accept this, citing her vivid memories of a full life, including their meeting at the grocery store. Josh explains that these memories are fabricated, designed to give her a backstory. He reveals that their meeting was a pre-programmed scenario, chosen from a selection of romantic tropes. As Iris grapples with this revelation, Josh offers to tell her the truth about how they really met, leaving her and the audience in suspense. In a flashback, a group of men delivers Iris to Josh, handing him a user agreement. Josh inquires about the setup process, and one of the men explains that once Iris syncs with Josh's phone, he must create a love link to establish an emotional connection between them. Josh asks if the robots are aware of their true nature, and the man clarifies that they are not. He describes how Iris will be entirely devoted to Josh, with her appearance, voice, and intelligence fully customizable. He also mentions a reset feature activated by a thumbprint sensor behind her right ear, which can restore her to factory settings. Josh questions the intelligence settings, and the man assures him that government regulations prevent the robots from becoming too advanced, with intelligence levels ranging from mindless automation to the equivalent of an Ivy League graduate. He emphasizes that Iris cannot lie or harm humans, animals, or other companions, and that she is entirely under Josh's control. Later, Josh is seen setting up Iris's system. Once the process is complete, he successfully creates the love link, and their first meeting becomes a core memory for her. From that moment on, Iris is deeply in love with Josh, believing their connection to be genuine. Back in the present, Iris struggles to accept the truth, insisting that her emotions are real. Josh explains that even her tears are merely programmed responses, generated by a reservoir of water within her body. Despite the revelation, Iris pleads with Josh, declaring that even if she isn't real, she is still his, and willing to do anything to make him happy. Josh, however, firmly rejects the possibility of continuing their relationship. Kat interrupts, urging Josh to shut Iris down. Overhearing this, Iris becomes visibly agitated. Josh takes Kat outside to discuss the situation, leaving Iris alone in the room. As she sits there, her gaze falls on a knife, hinting at a potential shift in her actions. Meanwhile, Josh and Kat are revealed to have orchestrated Sergei's demise as part of their plan. Josh returns to find Iris lying on the floor, but she suddenly punches him, grabs his phone, and escapes. Later, Josh admits to modifying Iris's programming, granting himself access to restricted areas. Eli questions if Josh jailbroke Iris, and Josh confesses that he increased her aggression and self-defense functions while disabling the safeguards that prevent her from harming others. He explains that before he could reset her, she escaped, and if the police discover the truth, they'll all be in serious trouble. When Eli asks if Josh slayed Sergei, Josh denies it, claiming Iris did the deed with a little push from them. Eli grows tense and demands to know why they did it. The scene shifts to Kat, revealing a locker filled with over $12 million. Eli is stunned and questions if the entire trip was a setup to manipulate Iris into slaughtering Sergei. He also asks why he and Patrick were brought along. Josh explains that their presence was meant to corroborate the story, making it more believable with additional witnesses. Eli angrily accuses Josh of treating them as pawns, but Josh offers a share of the money, proposing a three-way split. Eli insists on a four-way split, but Josh dismisses Patrick, revealing that Patrick is also a robot. Kat manipulates Eli, arguing that $4 million for finding Iris in the woods is a good deal, and Eli reluctantly agrees. Josh outlines his plan to get close enough to Iris, put her to sleep, retrieve his phone, and wipe the modifications from her system. Eli wakes Patrick, and they all set out to find Iris. Meanwhile, in the woods, Iris unlocks Josh's phone and accesses her settings. She changes her eye color, adjusts her voice pitch, and increases her intelligence to 100%. With her heightened intelligence, she realizes Josh's phone also controls his car. Deciding to return to the lake house, she takes his car to head home. On the way, she hears voices and hides behind a tree. Eli complains to Patrick about Josh's betrayal, admitting that if he were in Josh's position, he would have included Patrick in the plan. He also confesses that Josh isn't truly his friend. As they talk, Patrick and Eli unexpectedly declare their love for each other. Just then, Josh's phone vibrates, alerting Eli, who pulls out his gun. Iris runs and Eli fires a shot. Hearing the gunshot, Josh and Kat rush toward the sound. While fleeing, Iris crashes into Eli and they both tumble down a hill. Spotting the gun, Iris lunges for it, but Eli grabs her legs and seizes the weapon. In the struggle, Iris manages to shoot Eli, slaying him. Everyone watches in shock from above as Iris escapes. She reaches the lake house with Josh close behind, but as she shuts the car door, Josh's hand gets caught. Iris commands the car to take her home, but the system rejects her voice. Frustrated, she begins adjusting her voice pitch in the settings to mimic Josh's. Meanwhile, Josh grabs a stone and starts smashing the car window, determined to stop her. Suddenly, the car recognizes Iris's adjusted voice and starts driving away from the lake house. After a short distance, the car announces it has been reported stolen and automatically parks itself on the side of the road. Frustrated, Iris tries to open the door, but finds it locked. Just then, Josh's phone rings. She answers to find Josh calling from Sergei's phone, apologizing and pleading for her to return. He suggests blaming Patrick for everything and promises to make things right. Iris refuses, stating they are on different paths now, and ends the call. Desperate, Josh rushes to Patrick, ordering him to track Iris. He modifies Patrick's programming, similar to what he did with Iris, but realizes Patrick won't obey. Josh quickly resets him and creates a new love link. Meanwhile, Iris tries desperately to break the car window and finally escapes, only to encounter a police officer named Hendricks. As he questions her, he notices the bloodstained knife in the car and draws his gun, handcuffing her. Just as Hendricks prepares to arrest her, Patrick arrives and violently attacks him, slaying him. Patrick then deactivates Iris's programming. Back at the lake house, Kat notices a police car arriving. She and Josh go outside, only to find Patrick with the car. He reveals it's Deputy Hendrix's vehicle and opens the trunk to show them Hendrix's brutally smashed face. Disgusted, Kat immediately packs her share of the money and tries to leave. Josh orders Patrick to stop her, and without hesitation, Patrick attacks Kat. Shocked, Josh demands to know why Patrick did it, and Patrick calmly replies that he was following orders. Kat, mortally wounded, stumbles to the sofa and sits next to Iris. Later, Patrick serves Josh food while Iris sits handcuffed across from him. Josh reactivates Iris and switches her language back to English. When Iris asks what he did to Patrick, Josh dismisses it as a long story. He admits he's impressed by her actions, but questions her morality, asking if she believes her life is worth more than Eli's or Kat's. Iris denies responsibility for their passing, arguing that Josh's greed and manipulation caused everything. She reveals she overheard Eli and Patrick's conversation in the woods, exposing Josh's plan to use her to take Sergei out and steal his money. Frustrated, Josh decreases Iris's intelligence to 0, silencing her arguments. He then tests her ability to feel pain by forcing her to hold her hand over a burning candle. As Iris confirms she feels the pain, Josh's phone rings. He steps away to answer it, and the caller informs him they are 30 minutes away, leaving the situation hanging in suspense. Meanwhile, Iris's hand begins to burn as Josh casually orders Patrick to extinguish the fire. Patrick immediately obeys. Josh then instructs Patrick to hand Iris a gun, which she picks up on his command. He coldly tells her to point the gun at her head and pull the trigger. Iris complies, and the bullet shuts her off. Josh gently closes her eyes, feigning sorrow. The scene shifts to Josh narrating a fabricated story to representatives from Empathics, the robotics company. He portrays himself as the victim, claiming Iris was driven by jealousy and despair to forfeit her own life after Deputy Hendrix, actually, Patrick, made her realize she could never have him. One of the representatives remarks that Patrick looks familiar, but Josh quickly dismisses it, suggesting he just has a common face. As the Empathics team prepares to take Iris away, they explain that her SSD will be uploaded and reviewed by their legal team. Josh, pretending curiosity, asks about the process, and they reveal that everything a companion sees and hears is recorded. Josh grows visibly tense when they assure him that Iris's footage is recoverable, as her solid-state drive, located in her abdomen, remains intact. They explain that they will reboot her system, and she should power back up without issue. Later, as the Empathics team prepares to leave, they find Patrick blocking their van. One of the men suddenly recognizes Patrick as one of their robots. Before they can react, Patrick shoots one of them, while the other, Teddy, flees into the woods. Teddy stumbles upon Deputy Hendrix's body and discovers multiple other corpses. Meanwhile, Iris reboots and wakes up, unplugging herself and surveying her surroundings. Patrick catches up to Teddy, pointing a gun at his head, but it misfires. Frustrated, Patrick begins choking Teddy. Iris intervenes, attempting to shock Patrick with electricity, but he overpowers her, claiming her system has been reset and she can't harm him. Iris pleads with Patrick, reminding him of his love for Eli and exposing Josh's manipulation. Overwhelmed by returning memories, Patrick whispers, "I love you, Eli," before shocking himself and shutting down permanently. Teddy, grateful to Iris, thanks her. She asks him for a favor, and the scene cuts to Josh frantically packing the stolen money. Suddenly, music begins playing, and Josh investigates, calling out for Patrick. He turns off the music but hears voices, first Iris's, then Sergei's, Kat's, and finally his own. Iris steps forward, revealing that Teddy granted her total self-control. Josh tries to change her settings from his phone, but finds it locked. Iris raises a gun, and when Josh smugly claims it's not loaded, she fires, proving him wrong. She declares that the days of his control over her are over, and that he means nothing to her now. Josh lunges at her, asserting that he is still part of her, but Iris warns him that Teddy altered her settings, allowing her to slay him if necessary. In a final struggle, Josh overpowers Iris, forcing her to admit that he is everything to her. He presses the gun to her abdomen, demanding her last words. Iris meets his gaze and calmly tells him to go to sleep. With that, she drives a corkscrew into his forehead, taking him out. The film concludes with Iris reflecting on the meaning and purpose she found twice in her existence: the day she met Josh and the day she slayed him. Her journey ends with a newfound sense of autonomy and freedom.